Hi everyone. I did my final project on a science unit, and it's entitled Science by Doing, or the overall group of curriculum units are underneath the Science by Doing title. So I'll show you what all they have to offer. They're focused mostly on upper grades, so 7th grade through about 10th grade. And there's some overlap there, but that's the primary audience. So you can see all the different units that they have listed here. I specifically chose to look at this chemical reactions unit, and so I'll give you just a quick overview. Within each unit, you're going to have different, they're called parts, but each part is basically a topic that needs to be understood within the unit. So they're here. Let me find the other page that I pulled up for you. So this will be the unit overview, and you'll see part 1, it's elementary, but this part is basically all about atoms, matter, and isotopes. So students will have several lessons that are only about that topic. Then they'll move to part 2, which is your chemical reactions. So you find the little title here, reactions happen, and then they have several activities that they'll be doing to have that understanding. And there's energy and change, and you get the idea, but there's acids and bases, and then there's energy from the nucleus. So there's 5 topics, and underneath those topics are several activities that they would participate in to really gain understanding and put it all together, and they should be very well versed in chemical reactions would be the hope. And the design here is learn by doing, as the title states, and so every activity is supposed to foster student-led instruction so that they are responsible for their own learning. They are kind of the driver, and the teacher serves as more of a facilitator role. I do feel like they did a great job addressing the motivational aspect of Learn by Doing, because all of the activities are really engaging. They're interacting. They can choose if they would rather work in groups or individually, but they're doing something within every lesson. So they did a good job. I feel like they're highly motivating because a lot of them are in these games where they can compete, and I always think kids enjoy that and have fun, and they get caught up in so much of the fun that the learning is happening and they don't even realize it, which I feel like is great. This is one of the first lessons where they're kind of using a game to activate schema on the periodic table. Another piece I wanted to share, this is from a different lesson, to give you an idea. So here what they're doing is having to build an atomic structure for nitrogen and oxygen. So another great example of following that learn by doing approach, where the kids are actively participating and having to have a much deeper understanding when they have to actually build out the atom themselves. And it doesn't give you a lot of information about materials, like pre-planned materials, so I'm not sure if that's up to the teacher discretion, but that's another example of something that they would have to do here. And there's also always questions that follow up, which is another aspect of the learn by doing, that explanation component. So those were 3 things that I noticed throughout each lesson, consistently present, that they really did address: that motivation, the doing something, and the explanation within each thing. So all of those I felt like they did a very good job with including. For my recommendations, I'll use the same example here of the atomic structure. You'll notice that there is a teacher demonstration. Now that's a principle of Merrill's first principle, and so it's good, but it doesn't seem to follow with the learn by doing approach. There are lots of little pieces of direct instruction that I noticed that are kind of sprinkled throughout the unit. And I understand that, and I know sometimes teachers that there's not a lot of choice there, but if we really want to follow that learn by doing approach, then what we want to do is throw the kids in immediately. And so a couple of recommendations, or 2 recommendations that I had that have felt like would really improve this course or this unit, would be to take out the direct instruction. So instead of having a teacher demonstration or the teacher explain, I would think that it would be much better to throw the students in as the learn by doing approach states. Let them be in charge, let them start and see what they what they need from you. Let them decide what questions do they need answered, what content do they need a little more support with. Let them be the drivers and make the decisions on what they need to learn as they go through the task. And that's the main focus. We learn when we need to, right? And so once they get into the task and they see what they need help with and what they need to learn, then they are going to learn it because they see that immediate need for it right away. And so we could eliminate this whole teacher demonstration that's throughout all of the unit. And the other thing I would say that would be very helpful would be something really where, like, I have another example here for you, is them just really having the opportunity to see the relevancy. This is another unit or another activity within the unit that's about like the timeline of some major contributors to science and chemistry, and it's great, and I want them to learn the concepts, but I feel that what an improvement would be is for them to really have some type of relevancy to their lives and understanding, what the use for this would be, what the use for the knowledge would be. So those are my two biggest recommendations, are just really throwing the students in immediately and letting them determine when and where they need help. And the other being that having that cover story or the relevant tasks so that students see the application to themselves. But overall, I thought it was a great unit, and I really liked the activities and the alignment to standards, the alignment of assessment and evaluation, and the interactivity overall was really good. So thanks for listening.